The Drop Book series. A Drop Deeper is a sequel to the Drop Book series by 7 Drops based on the writings of Luisa Piccarreta. Page 20. One of the great temptations is to use your axe and rounds to try to manipulate God. I'm doing my axe and rounds, so God is going to make everything go very smoothly in my life. Not so. You must do your axe and rounds and accept everything that happens, good or bad, as the will of God. Mary is our perfect example. She didn't question why she had to ride on a donkey to Bethlehem, even though she was about to give birth to the Creator of the world. She didn't question why there was no room in the inn. Mary said, "Fiat" to everything. Never ask God why, accusing Him of mistreating you. It is all right to ask Him for a greater understanding of some situation. But this, God, why did you let this happen? Type of question is not acceptable. As Jesus explained to Luisa, the why is egoism. It oriented in hell and will be buried in hell. Another temptation is to take a vacation from the divine will. Oh, you are very faithful to do your axe and rounds when things are slow or you are going through a difficult time, but the minute the world offers a distraction or the problems of your world lighten up, the hours of the passion goes back on the shelf. Keep doing your axe and rounds even during that fabulous month-long tour of Europe. Keep doing your axe and rounds even if you are invited to all those summer parties. Keep doing your axe and rounds even if you don't have to worry about your bills because you just won megabucks. Don't let anything distract you from the divine will. Jesus told Luisa, it is necessary for the soul to always run without stopping in order to reach the highest good. Always be attentive to Jesus acting in you and faithful in doing your rounds. As you read the volumes and do your rounds, God will give you lights. These lights can be described as moments of understanding or truth that helps to immerse you deeper into the ocean of the divine will. Here is some more practical advice from Jesus. He explained to Luisa that souls who are given truths often allow these lights to leave them like lightning. He told Luisa that souls need to chew on these lights so the truths become a part of them. It is very simple. If God teaches you something about living in the divine will, don't forget it. Think about it and use it. Even the Blessed Mother would take the time to ponder the things that happened in her life. Jesus told Luisa, let the machine of my will grind you so well that nothing human remains in you. While God is doing the work He needs to do in you to bring you to full investment in the divine will, sometimes you may feel like you are in a grinder. The good news is there is an end to it, Jesus told Luisa. My daughter, everything that happens around and inside the soul, bitternesses, pleasures, contrasts, deaths, privations, and contentments, and other, is nothing other than my continuous work of unfolding my will in the soul and making it be fulfilled. When I obtain this, everything is done. Therefore, everything gives peace. Even suffering itself seems that it wants to remain far from that soul. Seeing that divine volition is more than suffering, and that the divine volition substitutes for everything and surpasses everything. God is going to allow many things to happen in and around you to bring you to fulfillment in the divine will. If you persevere in gaining knowledge of the gift, doing your acts and rounds, and being open to God's work to transform you into another Jesus, you can reach fulfillment, where even suffering disappears. Then, when the soul reaches this point, and it makes use of everything to make me fulfill the work of my volition, I dispose it for heaven. Here is the heaven on earth that God wants for every soul. If there is a continuation of suffering after the soul is fully invested with the gift of living in the divine will, the suffering is not for the purification of the soul. That work is done. Now the soul is feeling Jesus' sufferings and voluntarily suffers with him to satisfy God's justice, relieve Jesus, lessen a chastisement, or save a soul. The Blessed Mother did not need purification. She was pure and fully possessed the divine will from her conception. All of her sufferings were as a perfect victim soul. The volumes show the progression in Luisa as she slowly went from bitter complaints, sufferings, and doubts to a heaven on earth filled with peace, even though she continued to suffer at times. This peace is available for every soul. Be open to God's work, chew on those lights, and just keep doing your acts and rounds. And remember, as you live in the divine will, you can suffer for two purposes in God's plan: to be purified and act as a victim soul. So suffering is the most precious gift God gives. Just keep doing your acts and rounds is good advice, but it's not too helpful if you really don't understand what acts and rounds are. Don't worry, doing your acts and rounds is also a learning process. As you faithfully do your best, God will give you lights and enable you to take greater flights in your rounds. You will begin to feel Jesus praying in your praying while you keep him company. Looking at the hidden life of Jesus as he describes it to Luisa sheds light on the mystery of the acts and rounds. Every breath, every heartbeat, every movement, every thought, every word of Jesus 2,000 years ago was a divine act. These were divine because they were done by Jesus with the divine will. Jesus had a human will also, but at every moment he sacrificed his human will to the divine will. How many times in the Gospels does Jesus talk about doing the will of the Father, not his own human will? Jesus explained the importance of his divine acts in detail to Luisa. These divine acts have the ability to divinize all human acts, so that the human acts done through all the centuries become divine. Because of Jesus' acts, the Father receives the glory from all human acts done through all the ages, as if all these acts had been done by the souls themselves, with the gift of the divine will. In this way, Jesus began his work for the redemption long before the cross, at the very moment of his conception in Mary. Even his first heartbeat divinized all human heartbeats.